Good evening, everybody. Hi there. I've got. Looks like we got Emma in here. Thank you for stopping by, Emma, and keeping the place clean. Um, Skipper Dad was here for a little bit. Hey, Jonathan, good having you in here. Mandy, good seeing you in here. Well, this evening I have a very special guest on here. Um, good guy, good friend of mine. He has worked at both Walt Disney World. He's worked at um, Busch Gardens, and he's worked at Silver Dollar City. For those who don't know, he has his own YouTube channel, which has close to 30,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already, then please do. Welcoming my special guest here, George, or otherwise known as Sir Willow.
Hello.
Hey, welcome in there, George.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here too. Now, I'm glad you were able to take the time here because I wanted to talk about some of the crazy stories. I mean, I know you've got a ton. I've got a few too. Probably not nearly as many awesome ones as you do. But to start things off, we had a little incident here at one of my local parks here. Just a teensy, weensy little incident that caused a kind of a change in their policy there. For those who don't know, last week there was a little bit of a kerfuffle over at Knott's Berry Farm. A little bit of fighting, and I believe it went viral on Instagram or TikTok. TikTok, and everybody's saying, "Come on down to Knott's Berry Farm. We're going to have a fight." And it's all a bunch of 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, just your average middle schoolers. And well, because of this little mess, they had to close down the park, which honestly I don't blame them. But I think they kind of jumped the gun here and instituted a new policy that starts today, where all kids 17 and under must be accompanied by an adult who's 21 and over. And that quote unquote adult, which honestly I don't think someone that's 21 really should be considered an adult because they're still kind of in that transitional stage. They have to be contactable, and they're responsible for the kids that they're with them, and they have to be with these kids at all times. Now, George, what is your take on this new chaperone policy?
So, first off, hi, Emma. Good to see you and Jonathan. I'm going to be the grumpy old man on this one. Fights at the parks aren't anything new. We were talking earlier. This is something that's happened for decades. I can remember taking a youth group to Knott's Berry Farm and to Six Flags Magic Mountain, and fights breaking out and us avoiding that. I know Six Flags Great Adventure has had them. California Great America has had them. The biggest difference now is everybody's got their cell phones, so they're recording them and promoting them and making it, everybody now knows about them. I've said for years that kids shouldn't be allowed at the parks unescorted, unaccompanied. I know a lot of people use the parks as babysitting service, and
back when I worked at Knott's Berry Farm, it wasn't an uncommon thing for parents to drop off their middle school age kids at Knott's Berry Farm with their pass and say, "Have at it," while I go to work. And I mean, we're used to seeing these unaccompanied kids all the time.
Yeah,
and I remember even having a kid with their mom's bank card saying that she got their permission to use it. I'm like, no, we need someone's ID to use their card because obviously they weren't their mom. Oh, hi, Kathleen. Welcome in.
And we would have that at Silver Dollar City as well. Some of the employees' kids, some of the local kids. So you'd get Silver Dollar City was small enough you would get to know them and know which ones that you wanted to call security on and have them just take them out right away. It's something that I think every theme park has dealt with. And I had to laugh. Some of the conversation this last week was, well, Disney doesn't have to deal with this because they're more expensive. And then was it yesterday Magic Kingdom had a big fight break out.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they had another one at Magic Kingdom. So yes, Disney's had it as well. I was even commenting with Brian, back when I was in the 80s and I was in high school, Disneyland had something called Videopolis, and they had fights then too. So
yeah,
it's nothing new, and it's going to be interesting to see how this works with Knott's. I think the escort thing should have been done decades ago, but.
So you're basically saying is it probably is going to happen where it's going to be making its way over to Disney as well.
I think a lot of parks are going to keep their eyes on Knott's and see how this works, if it works, if it causes more issues than it's worth, or if it seems to solve them.
A big problem that I'm going to see with Knott's is Knott's Berry Farm employs a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds. Now, these employees that they have, who one of the perks of being an employee at Knott's Berry Farm is their ID acts like an annual pass, where they can check themselves into the park anytime they want. Now, on a Friday or Saturday, even their employees would have to be accompanied by an adult. How are they going to work with that? I mean, are these kids just going to, because when kids go into the park, even when employees go to the park, they're spending their paychecks in the park. So Knott's actually making money.
An exception, and if you make an exception for the employees, you make an exception for the employees' friends. Of course, when I worked at the parks, you never wanted to be at the park on a Friday night or Saturday anyways, because they were packed and busy. That was terrible time, but.
Oh yeah, but usually, when you're working during the day on a Friday or a Saturday, oftentimes what someone will do, I did this myself, is when I worked at the Chicken Dinner restaurant, our uniform was basically we had the black Oxford pants, a white button-up shirt, didn't have a Knott's logo on the shirt, so it was just. So without my apron, without my name tag, I just looked like just some regular person wearing black pants and a white shirt.
Yep.
So I would basically take my apron off, shove it in my pocket, stuff my name tag in my pocket, sign myself in the park, and go on a couple rides.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? Well, now kids aren't going to be able to do that. So that's one issue. Now, the big reason why they're doing this is primarily safety, because they had this massive, humongous brawl, and safety issues, they're not uncommon in theme parks. In fact, we were talking to the back before we started. Every theme park has safety as one of their top core values. Disney,
and if they don't, they won't be in business long.
Exactly. I mean, Disney has it as their top key: safety, courtesy, show, efficiency, and now inclusiveness. Cedar Fair has it as their four cornerstones: safety, courtesy, cleanliness, and I forget what the last one, but it was all tied together with integrity.
Yep.
But I mean, safety is always number one. I know with Silver Dollar City, safety is number one there too. What kinds of safety issues have you seen working in the parks?
The one thing I will say is 99, and probably 99.9% of the time, if there's a safety issue, it's not the park, it's the guest. And the guest doing something that should be obvious that they shouldn't be doing. And even when it hasn't been a guest, when it's been an employee of the park, it's usually because they did something they shouldn't have been doing or ignored safety procedure.
Hi there, Kelly.
Oh, yep. Hi, Kelly. It's been really interesting. Silver Dollar City, sadly, just had an incident a couple days ago, and we're still waiting to find out what happened there. But I can think of other instances in the past when somebody got seriously hurt, and it's usually because they did something they shouldn't have, like stand up on a roller coaster.
Or you were mentioning how some people have decided, oh, this ride's not for me. I'm getting off mid-ride.
We would have people on Rhino Rally at Busch Gardens. Now, if you're not familiar with Rhino Rally, it was a giant 17-passenger plus driver Land Rover. So it's a gigantic safari Jeep truck with open-air sides and a roof on it. And the second half of the ride was a water portion where we were lost on a river, raging river, and we're floating down this controlled thing, and part of it goes under a waterfall. Well, you would have people that decide they didn't want to get wet, and so they would jump up because it didn't have a locking seatbelt at the time. It was an individual one that you could undo. They would undo their seatbelt, stand up, and try and run over to the other side of the truck. And I had several times, twice as a driver, we had an e-stop on there that would immediately stop the water portion, drain the water, and stop the ride. And I had to hit that button because I had somebody standing up and trying to, crawl 2 seats over. And you're like, sit down. And
oh my gosh, who does that?
Of them falling out of the Land Rover because it's all these chains and pulleys and gears, and they fall out. They're going to get badly hurt, mangled.
Oh, yeah, my God.
So, you hit the e-stop and then you yell at the person. I thoroughly embarrassed my kids one time because we were riding one time and we're in the back row. We're having a great time, just, dad taking the kids out. And somebody did that 2 seats in front of us. Some lady that was dressed to the nines. Why do you dress fancy at a theme park? Hello? But she didn't want to get wet.
Well,
and so we come to the water portion. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, they get to the water portion. She doesn't want to get wet, and then what does she do?
She jumps up and moves over 2 seats, standing up in this truck that's rocking around.
Mm-hmm.
And so I yelled from the back seat.
Out easily.
The driver hadn't seen it. And so I yelled from the back seat, sit down! And both my kids are like wanting to crawl under the seat at this point. And, she sits down and the guy, and they're not young. They're in their 40s, 50s, something like that. The guy gives me a death glare and I'm like, would you rather she fell out of the truck and got injured? And so we finish the ride. We get to the exit and to the end of the ride, driver pops the doors open and this guy makes a beeline towards me. Don't you dare talk to my wife that way. I'm like, isn't it sad that I care more about your wife's safety than you do? and he just, and my kids are waiting for him to start throwing fists. And I'm just like, look, dude, this was totally unsafe. You're lucky she didn't get seriously injured.
Oh, totally.
And I've seen stuff like that. Years ago, we were driving across the country. We were at Wonderland in Amarillo, Texas. And the Rapids ride, I've actually got a picture of these teens that were jumping. They're up out of the seat and trading seats in the middle of the ride.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Teenagers, I can understand because their brains aren't fully developed yet.
But they're doing this, and I kind of, my kids weren't with me that time, and they were probably happy they weren't. Because again, I yelled, "I'm not even an employee at the park," and I'm yelling, "Sam, unless you want to die."
and to be fair, you were looking out for them because if they would have gotten out and fallen under there, those round boats are not as light as you think they are. And having one roll over you, that's gonna hurt.
Yep. So, and there have probably been times I've yelled at people at parks that I shouldn't have, because should have let the employees do it. I have seen crazy things both from the employee side and from the guest side. When we went to Dollywood last time, we were riding lightning rod, and somebody a few rows in front of us pulled their cell phone out to record and lost the phone, and my son just barely missed catching their phone. And we caught a hat on another ride.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, this phone kept flying past us. Like, what was that?
Yeah, looks like Mandy saw that the video of the Magic Kingdom fight.
Yeah.
It must be all there. I'll have to look for that. But oh my God, that's just insanity. Wow.
I haven't seen the video, but I heard it was over a 6-year-old's birthday. Yeah.
Oh.
But
don't get me wrong, birthdays are absolutely the best in a theme park. I mean, when I worked at Disneyland, that was one of my favorite things to do, is to embarrass teenage girls on their birthdays. Because, nothing like seeing a girl that thinks she's all that turn just pink with embarrassment,
Yeah.
But now my biggest pet peeve when I was working at Disneyland were, and I would say this to my coworkers, those dang Heelys. I have seen kids, and it's always kids, because you never see adults wearing these things, because apparently they have a little bit more sense than the kids do. Rolling on their heels down a hill and then whapping their shins right into a planter, like over in New Orleans Square, how they have the big brick planters at the edges of each terrace in the area there. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen kids just whack their shins onto those planters.
Now, shins would be nice. See, Silver Dollar City, we had real hills. And I watched one kid on his Heelys. He's coming down the hill by the train station, and he forgets how to stop, and he's just cruising right on down, and he face plants just
splat.
And you're just kind of sitting there looking and cringing because, that's gotta hurt, and
you want to just laugh, but you can't.
Well, and you wait until first aid takes care of them, takes them away, then you go in the break room and laugh.
Yeah. And kids aren't the only stupid ones. I mean, granted, I see kids just sitting on rails, and even when I'm a guest in a park, I'll tell them, "Hey, get down off there." Why do I have to listen to you? Well, would you like to fall over backwards, bust your head open, and then end up in the emergency room?
Now, see, I tell people I had to clean up the mess from people who fell off the railings. That usually gets their attention, like, what? Yeah, and I don't want to see yours, so.
Yeah, that can be pretty messy. But yeah, I mean, and you had a story about.
Oh, okay. So it's not just kids. It's adults that do this too. But I was taking pictures one time. I think it was of Stitch over in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom. And there is a lady. Good evening, Skipper Dad Kevin. Good to have you here tonight. There's a lady that is actually coming out of. She's coming through the queue area of Buzz Lightyear, and she's stepping over the chains that they set up for the queue. And so the cast members go, "Ma'am, please walk around. Don't step over the chains." And she looks at her and kind of ignores her and keeps going. "Ma'am, please don't step over the queue chains." And keeps going and takes a step and gets her foot caught and does this routine and breaks her arm.
Oh, and you see, the thing about rails is rails are at least stable. You can like kind of step over and duck under, but the chains, they can wobble, especially if somebody's like shaking them, or if you're accidentally shaking them. So it might not be where you think it is when you try to get your other foot over, and then you get it hooked and whap.
And we actually, it was Stitch as I think about it, because we pulled off the character. Like I said, it's been a while. These things come back. But I remember stepping backstage with Stitch because they called out first aid and we're closing off part of the area. And Stitch told me, he said, I really wanted to go over there and point and laugh and make fun of them, but because that's what Stitch does.
That would have been in character for Stitch. Right. That totally would have been in character for him. But obviously they kind of the friend of Stitch kind of had a little bit more respect there than
yes, just a little bit. But so I really wanted to go do it.
Now, for those who are unaware of the jargon that we're just using there, a friend of a character is what characters refer to the ones that, using a not safe for magic term, dress up in the character suits. They'll dress up as, like, a friend of Stitch is the person who dresses up as Stitch. Yeah, and meets people as Stitch. So That's what we mean when we say that's not exactly safe for magic, but this is not safe for magic stream. So because we're telling all the grisly stuff that happens in the parks.
Yeah, and you see stuff. I mean, you see people get sick, and you see people do dumb things. Some of the craziest ones I saw were on the train, Silver Dollar City.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned somebody getting off the train.
Okay, so we would have things. Now, if you've never been to Silver Dollar City, we've got the old time train that cruises around. It stops in the middle of the woods, and they do a train robbery with a couple dumb hillbillies. And you would see.
And which one were you, Alfie or Ralphie?
You'd actually switch off. So you do rotation. So you'd be a conductor one day, and then the next day you'd be a robber, and you do two shows as one, 2 shows as the other. So you switch off to keep it fresh.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've had lots of multiple personality confusion.
Have you ever gotten your lines wrong?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Absolutely.
So you said the Ralphie lines as Alfie and the Alfie lines as Ralphie.
As Ralphie, and so then the other guy just was. Anytime you mess up, and you mess up out there a bunch, everybody was waiting for somebody to mess up so they could get them. And you would purposely do things to make other people mess their lines up. So that was constant. That was part of the fun. But you drop the train in the middle of it, you'd actually come up and ask people gold, silver, and people would give you crazy stuff. You'd have people that would take their children and pick them up and hold them off the side of the train.
Here you go. Take this, please.
And you're holding your child 8 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Do you not realize if this child slips, it's getting hurt?
Exactly. And not to mention, just imagine the CPS report.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, ma'am. You were holding your son over the side of a train, 8 feet above the ground, and getting ready to give your child to a train robber. Hello.
You're just like, what? And that was the only place I saw people do dangerous things with their kids. Up at the train station, we had an emergency pull cord on the train that if somebody had a medical emergency, they could pull, and then we would stop it. But we watched people as we're getting ready to leave. The train has started to move, and you'd have a family come running down to the exit. Dad is on the train. Mom is not on the train with the kids, and she wants to get the kids on. So she starts hoisting the kids over the fences so they can run on the train while it's already moving and catch up to Dad.
Wait a minute. So you have parents, people who are rearing children, who are trying to instill values in the next generation, taking their children, running up to a moving train and trying, here, hold on to this.
So you've got the loading platform and then moving gates. And so they're coming up to the closed gates, hoisting the kid over, dropping him on the other side of the gate so the kid could run across the loading platform. And then Dad, of course, then stands up on the moving train and reaches for him. Silver Dollar City is in Branson, Mandy. So
I was just about to highlight that one there for you.
Yeah. So Dad is standing up and moving on a moving train. Kid has just been hoisted over a safety fence and is running towards the moving train. Can we say stop the train in a hurry before somebody gets hurt? And I saw that twice.
I was thinking you were going to say that you got the dad on the mom on the train, or the dad on the train, mom with the kids, and the dad's like, "Oh, the train's going. Pull the cord."
We had a couple times where people would pull the cord or something like that. You would see a family arrive at the exit gate, and rather than hoisting somebody over the fence, whoever was on the train would jump off the train as it was pulling out to run over and say, "You have to let them on." So we probably stopped the train in the station for somebody either jumping off the train or coming towards the train over the fence. Probably about a dozen times in the 3 years I was there.
And you just have to wonder the logic that these people were thinking, the thought process that these people are going through. Because
there's no thought process and stuff like that. It's just they're reacting and doing. The crazy stuff. We had We would have people that would pull that pull cord in the middle of the woods just to see what would happen.
Oh,
are they really going to stop the train?
Okay. Yes, they are. And
yep.
For those who don't know, that pull cord in the middle of the train is for serious medical emergencies only. Like dad's having a heart attack.
Yep.
Mom's turning blue.
We're stopping the train so we can grab the AED defibrillator and run up and start CPR. This is what we are expecting.
This is not a I want to get off and pull the cord to get off. No, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen when you do that is, yes, you'll get off. Then you'll probably be escorted off property.
Depending upon the situation, sometimes it was kids. If it was an adult that did it just for doing it, yeah. At the very least, they were going to get a very stern talking to, and we were going to make sure that everybody on the train knew where the person was that pulled the cord, and why they were sitting in the woods or wherever for 30 minutes while we had to get everything cleared. And no, there really isn't a medical issue, and call off the ambulance that's coming. And
and every person on that train that knows who did that, when the train finally pulls into the station, guess who they're going to want to have words with?
Yep.
Or possibly fisticuffs with.
Now, we were careful because we didn't want a fight. But no, we would definitely make it very well pointed. You don't do that.
Yeah.
We had another one. Safety. We did have to stop the train out at the robbery as we finished the robbery show one time. And we ended up putting a hold and have to wait to get clearance from safety and everything else. Because in the last row, there was a little boy that had to go to the bathroom. And so dad is holding him off the train on the opposite side of the robbery. So facing the woods with the kid's pants down at his ankle, going to the bathroom, holding him out there.
Wait. So you got this kid. Is this kid doing like a number 1 or a number 2?
Number 1. But he's probably like 3 years old, 4 years old.
So dad picks up the kid, drops his trowel, and holds him over the edge of the rail. Pee.
Yep. Yeah.
And you think the parents will be wondering,
and you're just like, what are you doing? He's like, well, he had to go. Like, this is why you tell him to go back in the station. Exactly. Now we're all stuck here because technically he's off the train and I have to stop everything to clear us safety-wise. Like,
So for those who are contemplating doing any of this, Kelly.
Oh,
I love your sense of humor, Kelly. but yeah, for those who are contemplating doing any of these crazy things, please don't. There's nothing we want less than seeing somebody fall and hurt themselves and ruin their family's vacation just because, I got to get this kid on the train. Yeah.
Well, and it's not just the family's vacation it ruins. It ruins it for everybody around there that has to see it, deal with it. All the employees.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being on vacation at going to Silver Dollar City? You've never been, and you've wanted to experience the famous Frisco Silver Dollar line, and you have somebody being a ding dong and just ruining your first experience like that. How would that make you feel if that was you? My gosh.
Yeah.
Just something to think about, Now, other hi there. Oh, hello there, Debbie. Debbie is an absolute sweetheart. Debbie, you're not late. You came right on time, okay?
You're precisely at the time you meant to be.
Exactly. Great quote from Gandalf, right? But some other things. One of the things that is probably my biggest pet peeve when I'm a guest in the park and when I'm working at a park is people standing or sitting on the handrails. Because we touched on this earlier, but I really appreciated when Disneyland reopened the Finding Nemo submarines, and they decided to make the rails a little bit less comfortable to sit on by having the little metal waves up and along the top rail.
Yeah,
that I was so glad they did that, because there's nothing worse than having a kid just fall off the rails, bonk their head open, split their head open, and now their day's ruined because they got to go to the emergency room, get stapled up. Yes, stapled, and it's not fun. So if you get that thought in your head, please don't. I mean, yeah, it may seem boring standing in line, but it would be much more boring on a hospital bed in the emergency room while you're waiting to get seen by a doctor.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be boring, but not where you want to be.
Exactly.
That's the kind of excitement.
Oh, yeah, but not the excitement that you were looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, Debbie, you're very welcome. Now, tell me some of your more fun stories that you've had working in theme parks.
Oh, the fun stories. Goodness.
Fun stories.
There are so many of them. Okay, so one of the things I love, most theme parks, adults are not allowed to wear costumes for multiple reasons. You don't want them mistaken as employees.
Yep.
But the kids were. And didn't see this so much at Busch Gardens, but at Disney and at Silver Dollar City, we would see kids come in dressed up as people in the parks.
Yeah, you see the girls dressed up as little princesses, and you see the little boys dressed up as pirates. And I'm assuming Silver Dollar City, you would see them dressed up in Western garb or like cowboys or
But where it was really fun was when they weren't dressed up as the characters, but when they came dressed up as employees. So
really,
we had a couple times that we would have kids at Disney come dressed up as PhotoPass photographers with the little brown vest and the name tag, and that was just amazing. Like, okay, you are now my officially favorite guest ever. And so, you get pictures of the family, and you have to make sure that the kid was the one that you get down there, and you couldn't let them hold the camera. But okay, buddy, I'll hold the camera. You push the button. And so a lot of them, they did that.
So you had a trainee for a time then, right?
Yes, I did have one family that because I totally smooched up to this kid, and they probably stayed with me for like 45 minutes with this kid shooting pictures of several other families along the way. And I mean, I did everything I could to make this kid feel like a rock star. But yeah, that was really cool. So
real quick, my first mod is in here. Rachel, welcome back. Welcome in. Thank you for stopping by. You know you're not late. And we have Sandy Birdwell. How are the birds, Sandy?
But yeah, somewhere out there's a picture of me standing next to this kid dressed up as a PhotoPass photographer.
That has to be probably one of the cool. If you had that photo,
I wish I had that. There's a lot of photos that people took of me while working that I wish I had. We had.
And it's not kosher to give out your email address to guests. I mean, it's okay if you're like friends with them and they do that, but it's just not done to give out your info to guests. So if you plan on working at a theme park, don't do that.
And when I was at Disney, Facebook was just really starting to pick up, and it didn't have all the photos and stuff on it that are on there now. So you couldn't just go searching to see if somebody posted it. It was much more difficult. Silver Dollar City was easier because of the timing. And in that case, if we had somebody come dressed up as the conductor, we had lots of train engineers. And so, we take kids up, let them see the engine, talk to the engineer. But when you had that conductor show up, okay, this is my rock star again. They're going to be the ones that get to say the all aboard. And we had some kids, we had a 12-year-old that they had memorized the spiel that we did all the way around the tracks. And
oh my gosh. Did you have them sit with you?
Well, we couldn't let them officially sit in the conductor's seat because of the safety issues.
Yeah.
But we did have one train car that had a back window that had been removed, so we had open access to them. And yeah, then was taking the microphone and just holding it there and letting them spiel it. So yes, they got to do the spiel for us.
Oh, and by the way, George, when I mentioned this, I asked Sandy, how are the birds doing? Well, the birds are well, 24/27. That's her tagline there. She's a good friend of the channel.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
I had some a couple of my favorites. I was conducting one day, and this man walked up to me, and he says, "I got this wanted poster for this criminal that was out there. He was robbing trains yesterday, causing all sorts of havoc." And he pulls out this wanted poster he made with me as the robber.
Oh my gosh!
And it was just like, that is so cool. It's not me. That's my twin brother. He went back. But so I've got that still. I had another one where we had done the train as the conductor, and you could tell this guy was a professional photographer because the gear he had some expensive stuff. Mm-hmm. We get done, and he says, "That was my little girl's first ride, 4 years old." And he says, "You were so amazing. She had so much fun. She wants her picture with you, but is afraid to ask you."
Okay.
And so, I posed for this picture with her holding the gun up in front of her because she thought that was cool. Scary, but cool. And she's got this big grin on her face while I'm, holding the gun protectively. And he sent that to me.
Oh my gosh!
So I still have that. Okay, this little girl's first ride. That's one of those pictures you'd love to be able to post up, but not my kid.
Yeah, exactly. Now, George, you have worked with some of the most amazing, absolutely amazing people, and I love hearing this story because every time I hear it, it just brings a tear to my eye, and that is the Make-A-Wish kids. So theme parks not only are theme parks places of where you have to be safe, but they can provide some of the best memories ever, and even in some instances, some people's last memories.
Yes. Our goal with Make-A-Wish, whether it was, we didn't see so many Busch Gardens. We would see them at Silver Dollar City, but we especially saw them at Disney. And the whole goal was to make them forget about everything and just have this magical moment. So we let them bypass lines with characters and spend extra time. And we saw some kids that were very sick. You'd see some that not so much, but it wasn't whether you could see it or not. You just, hey, they're not going to be Make-A-Wish unless they are going through something.
Yeah.
We watched a couple times where kids would come up in wheelchairs with the IVs hooked up and hanging on the racks and everything. And you would watch them when they would see the characters and just forget what they're strapped up to. And the eyes would light up and the smiles would come. We had probably the most memorable one. And like I said, we had so many. I tell people, if I hadn't cried behind the lens of the camera at least a couple times that week, it was an off week. And usually it was the Make-A-Wish or something like that. But at the time we had Toontown open, and Toontown had 3 different rooms in it. Each room had 3 characters. So you'd have the 3 princesses in one, Cinderella, Belle, and Aurora, typically. And then Minnie would be in a room with Goofy and, say, the Chipmunks. And in another room, we'd have Donald and a couple others. We got a call that we had a special Make-A-Wish coming, and they were going to do something they pretty much never did, and they were going to close all 3 rooms and bring everybody into one. And, as the photographers and characters were kind of going, well, this is different. This is unusual. What's going on? And as they get everything settled down and bring the characters in, they wheel this girl in. She's probably 12, 13, and she is in a bed with ivies everywhere, not a chair. She's in a bed, and almost a little green in color. And just immediately, we're all kind of going, "Oh my!" Most of us went and kind of stood on the wall. We had two different photographers, like I said, 8 photographers in this room. We've got 2 photographers that started shooting, and the rest of us just kind of stepped out of the way and watched the characters love on her. The princesses all kissed her forehead, and just seeing the smile. I mean, this if you've ever heard the expression "a smile taking up a whole face," it really did. And she was in there probably 15 minutes. You know, most meets are about a minute long. 15 minutes.
Usually, if sometimes you'll get the hug and shove type of meet and greet, but this kid was. I remember your video that you told this story, and it just, I mean, it just totally made me cry the first time I saw it.
And just an amazing interaction, and we're standing on the side and we're all shedding tears because this is just such a cool moment. And the characters say goodbye to the family. We all kind of go back and we start doing our routine again. I went on break a little bit later and finished my break in the break room and walked over to our equipment area. And so we actually had managers come in and other people to watch. And as I get around to the equipment area to find out where I'm going to get bumped to and who I'm shooting pictures of next, I realize that my equipment manager is crying. And I'm looking at her like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" And she said, "Well, you remember that Make-A-Wish kid?" "Yeah, how could I forget? She's gone." "They left the park?" "No, she's gone." "Oh."
That was by far one of the saddest, most. I mean, it's a sad story, but it was amazing that her last memory.
Yeah, her last memories. And I wasn't the only one that had a memory like that. One of my other photographers, I'll steal his story here. His name's Steven. He told me about a time that he was working with Ariel over in Ariel's Grotto. And it was Ariel's Grotto used to be this really neat meet and greet because it was a kind of a set apart private area. They had a water play area outside, and then you had this little cave there. She would meet people. And he said he had a Make-A-Wish family come in. You could tell that she was sick. I don't remember how old he said she was, but she was in her wheelchair, and again hooked up to the IVs and everything. Came in, and he said, the most magical experience, and got the pictures of the Ariel, and just an amazing moment. And finished up and everything. As they're leaving, he turned around and he's giving the photo pass card to one of the parents, as the other one is pushing the girl out. And he says, you could just see her in the chair all of a sudden.
Oh.
I just knew, because he'd worked with the police department. He says, I knew what happened.
God. Wow.
He says he didn't get any official word, but he said you could just see the expression on the parent's face. And
but it's good. It's good that they got that last memory with their kid being a happy one. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring up the Make-A-Wish was because I have a Make-A-Wish story myself. It didn't involve me. It involved one of my friends I had made at Knott's Berry Farm, who was a lead at Boardwalk North rides, which for those that are unaware, Boardwalk North rides was at the time was Boomerang. It was Wipeout. It was kind of like a little spinny ride. It was they would do the Sky Cabin, but they were in charge of all those rides on the north side of the boardwalk minus Accelerator. And there was a Make-A-Wish kid, because Knott's Berry Farm would get Make-A-Wish kids too, and they would have this special lanyard, and they would get to basically do whatever the heck they wanted to do because it was their day. And she told me that they had a Make-A-Wish kid that wanted to ride in the front of Boomerang as many times in a row as they could handle it. So I said, okay, you can do it. So they basically had the front row blocked off for this one kid, and a parent, and they were going over and over on this ride. And they didn't let anybody sit in the seat right behind them either. So it's just this one family that was sitting on this ride, and this guy, I don't know what you want to call him, cretin, imbecile, whatever. He went up to her and says, "How come that kid gets to ride 1,500 times on that ride?" And she basically told it to him like it is. Well, I'm sure that kid would trade all those rides in the world to be able to live a long life like you can.
Yep.
And she basically told that guy off. I mean, yes, people can be ding-dongs. So please, for the love of God, when you go to a theme park, leave your ding-dong behavior behind you. Leave it in the car, please.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing that would make working in a theme park 100% the best job, instead of it being a great job that has some goofy situations that happen.
It was the people that thought they were entitled that would drive you nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And, I ought to be able to skip the line. Well, everybody else here paid just as much as you did. They got the same rights. Go get in line.
Exactly. Last week I went over with Emma the Disability Access Service at Disneyland. And for those who are unaware, I mean, I'm sure everybody here knows, but for those who are unaware, it basically allows for people with special needs to be able to basically go in the lightning lane free of charge, essentially. But I'm sure that a lot of people who have these disabilities would give up that ability to be what the world calls normal, And you just have to not just think of other people other than yourself, because they're all there having fun, same as you. Just treat everybody as equals, and you will be fine. I promise you.
Yep.
Now, one other. Yep. I 100% agree there, Debbie. As I call them, entitled Karens and Kevins. Although I think the male entitlement is more of a Chad than a Karen as far as Reddit goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're all over the place. Usually you find them in Walmart. But, now, what was your all-time favorite memory working at the Magic Kingdom?
Oh gosh, there's no way I can pick one. You're breaking that rule of mine. You're wanting me to pick favorites, and I don't pick favorites because there's too many.
Okay, how about this? I know that your usual response with what's your favorite something or other, it's the one that you.
Yeah, my favorite park is the one I'm in at the time.
Exactly.
Favorite roller coaster, the one I'm on or about to get. Yeah.
What was your favorite most recent memory?
Most recent.
That might be easier.
Oh yeah, but see, I haven't worked. It's been 8 years since I worked at Silver Dollar City. One of the things I like to do now is I love to go to the parks when I can with people who've not been to them, or when they're experiencing something new. So I could do this. We were at Walt Disney World. 2 months? Has it been that long? Almost a month and a half ago. And part of this group that we ended up with was we had one gentleman who hadn't been there in 30 years. And then we had another young lady named Megan, a good friend of my daughter's, who ended up with us. And this cracked me up. We went to the Frozen sing-along show. Okay? I happen to have fun with it. It's goofy. I like the music. One of the guys with us gives me a bad time about please don't sing. And so, of course, I'm singing the whole show. But we had two really funny moments. One part of the show is set up, where they do the whole bit where Olaf is singing about summer, and you get to the, the puddle line, and the guy who hadn't been there 30 years yells out, "Puddle!" and almost had a shoe thrown at him from the narrator. We're just laughing because they're just the whole rest of the show. Just don't be a jerk like him. And so
oh my gosh.
It was a ton of fun. So we're razzing him the whole time. Didn't realize. So after the show, Megan had never seen Frozen at all.
What? Wait, and wait a minute, how old is she? And she never saw Frozen?
She's 24, 25, yeah. She never seen Frozen. And she comes out of this show going, oh my goodness, that was the most amazing thing. That was awesome. And we're all kind of looking at her going, it's Frozen. I've never seen Frozen. I gotta see Frozen. We gotta
go. Did you ever get to see the Frozen musical over at DCA?
Yes. Oh my goodness, it was so well done. I actually watched it 3 times in 4 days. Yes.
Honestly, I don't blame you one bit. But there's a lot of people that do miss Aladdin.
I loved Aladdin. I saw Aladdin several times. I loved that they gave the genie free reign.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, I was trying to explain this to my kids about how the genie used to be in the show because they think Robin Williams is Genie.
Yep.
And so then especially when the live action Aladdin came out and Will Smith was Genie, and they're kind of going, well, that was different. I'm like, okay, I need to show you the Genie that used to be California Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
And so I grabbed YouTube and I started pulling up all these clips.
Because there's a lot of them.
Just going, I can't believe he got away with that. Oh my goodness.
The first time I ever saw the Aladdin show, the genie, as soon as he smokes out of the bottle, he shows up. Wow, I've been in that bottle for 1,000 years. I've missed every single episode of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And I was like, what? And it's like, yeah, they definitely got away with some absolutely crazy stuff in that show.
If you want fun, just go back and watch the clips of him breaking Aladdin. And how many times he goes through and you see Aladdin holding and then just losing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, granted, there are some epic fails from that show too. Like I remember a YouTube clip of the carpet failing
upside down,
and they're dangling from the carpet upside down, and this is like 30 feet up off of the audience. So if you ever want to see some truly terrifying, if you're afraid of heights, that one will.
And it's good to know that they're strapped in there really well, but they can't get them out of it without bringing it down. And to do that, they've got to get everybody out of the theater. And poor Jasmine is up there telling people, please leave, help us out, get out of here. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's
because you can only imagine. Just keep in mind, safety is everything at Disney, including the shows. So you just have to. Oh my God, yeah. But another thing about ad-libbing, there was a show at Disneyland that it was kind of the cheesiest show I've ever seen. It was back when they wanted to emphasize Buzz Lightyear because I think Toy Story 2 or 3 was out, and so they kind of wanted to emphasize Buzz Lightyear, so they changed Tomorrowland Terrace for a time to Club Buzz, Lightyears Above the Rest. And they had this little show on the Club Buzz stage called Calling All Space Scouts, a Buzz Lightyear adventure. And it was a great little show for kids. But working Tomorrowland Terrace all day and hearing that show, hearing that song, a Space Scout is a winner that's never late. Oh, God. Well, what I thought was awesome about that show was the little green men. You would have these 3 little puppets that were pretty much like animatronics, and he'd have the one little green man that was operated by a puppeteer that was in this booth inside the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And his lines were not pre-recorded. That the three puppets above him, their lines were pre-recorded. And so he would come up with some of the most off-the-wall comments during this show. And the girl that would play Starla, she'd have to play it straight. And you got this alien that's being a goofball that's trying to make her just, bust up laughing.
Yep.
And when she introduces where, all the artifacts that they'd collected from Zurg, and she gets to this like little meteorite thing, and the little green man can pretty much say whatever he wants about it, but the other items, the alien's responses are all pre-recorded. Mm-hmm. So his response one time when she points out, he said something like, "causes ingrown toenails." I mean, just little off the wall things that just yeah. The ability of the characters and the entertainment to be allowed to improvise is just absolutely amazing.
When they've got that, yes, you can go places that you never expect, and when you get them good, they can be absolutely hilarious.
Oh, totally. Now, I'm sure you're aware that I'll be going to Disney World for my first time ever, mm-hmm. at the end of October. And as I've never been there before, all I know is what I've seen on YouTube, what I've been told. Mm-hmm. You got like their Disneyland is the Magic mm-hmm. Kingdom, and you have pretty much all the other parks are totally alien to anything that we're aware of out here. What should I expect?
The first thing you'll think when you walk into Magic Kingdom, wow, that's a big castle. Where's mm-hmm. the rest of the rides and attractions? It's bigger, but Disneyland has almost twice as many rides and attractions in it.
Yeah. So, I understand it's got more. The Disneyland has more rides and attractions than all of Walt Disney World all put together.
Not quite that much, but it's the equivalent of 2 parks put together.
Yep.
So any 2 parks, like I said, you'll feel that there's not as much to do in each park, but they're all bigger.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of your favorites. You'll ride things and you go, this feels familiar. So Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom is Indiana
Jones. Yes, I've heard that.
And
but I do want to go on Dinosaur, even though it pretty much is Indiana Jones. I want to see the differences.
I love it. I have a blast on Dinosaur. When I get people who've been to Disneyland, I am a little bit naughty as the ride starts out, and I will yell something like, "Don't look in the eye!"
And the people that have never been to Disneyland are like, "What are you talking about?" Oh my gosh.
And then you'll also understand after you've been on Dinosaur, my reference, I do they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it.
I've seen ride-throughs of Dinosaur, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
That one should be a lot of fun.
It's fun. The other thing you're going to see at Walt Disney World, and this is the not good part, is you are going to see that their maintenance level has dropped. I can tell you on this last trip, let's see, Rise of the Resistance had 2 different very notable things that weren't working. Doc Ondar wasn't working. The main Dinosaur and Dinosaur wasn't working.
The Carnosaurus?
Yeah. They had the backup. Several of the animatronics in Small World weren't. Mm-hmm. You're just seeing that level dropping as budgets are cut, and they just don't have the staffing and the budgets.
Yeah.
And it's starting to show up. And that's Walt never would have allowed that.
No. Oh, God, no. I remember a guest telling me that he'd been in the park when Walt was alive, and mm-hmm. he'd seen Walt in the park, and everywhere Walt would go in Disneyland, he would carry a little notepad with him. And if he saw anything out of sorts, And I mean anything, whether it's paint chipping on a trash can.
Yeah.
I mean, even the most minute things, a light bulb out on Main Street, it gets jotted down in this little pad.
Yeah.
And the very next day, not the next week, but the very next day,
that night, yeah,
that night, it was fixed. It was fixed, and it was ready to go for the next day. I mean,
there are good things. I do like the bubble, in a sense, where you're on property and you are in Disney.
Yeah.
So it's easy to kind of forget the outside world. So you use the Disney transportation. That's really nice. I love the hotels there. It's a great place to immerse out of the world for a while.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
But at the same time, you'll come back and you'll understand why Disneyland is so special. I like Disneyland better than Walt Disney World. Because it's Walt's Park, and you can just sense the atmosphere there.
Yeah, and there's a history of that park.
Yeah.
I was on Emma's channel last Saturday with Emma and Kevin, and I had shared some pictures from my phone that I'd taken of Disneyland, like Walt's apartment, which anybody that goes to Disneyland, it's just kind of a rite of passage. As you're passing by his apartment, you kind of want to just look up, give him a salute or wave at him, and just to know that you acknowledge that this was his park. And also another picture that I shared with him, and this is another photo that Kevin had on his little reel that he shared with us, was the oldest item in the park outside of the Dominguez Pine is the test wall. That's up on Main Street. For those that are unaware of that, there's a wall at the end of the center street on the right-hand side that is basically all these test patterns of bricklaying that they wanted to work on before they actually did the finished product in the park. So there's a wall with all these bricklaying patterns that are used all throughout the park.
You're actually missing something even older.
What's that?
The tree from the original orchards that's over in the Jungle Cruise.
I said outside of the Dominguez Pine.
Oh, no. Well, then if you want to go older than that, you've also got the petrified wood over by the Rivers of America.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count because that was brought in afterwards. but yeah, honestly, I think that Lillian, when Walt gave Lily that piece of petrified wood, that her mindset was, okay, why the bleep did you give me this?
Yeah.
And so she was more than happy to donate that petrified tree to her husband's park because I don't want that thing in my bedroom.
No, you're not putting it in the front yard to go with your train.
So I mean, yeah, I'm totally practical. I can totally understand that. Yeah, he would probably do that. Oh, hey, Bloomin' Cheese, welcome in. He's another good friend of mine that he has some pretty good stuff on his channel there. Well, oh my gosh, it's been over an hour.
Wow. Scary.
You know, time flies when you're having fun, right?
And time's fun when you're having flies. If you're
exactly that too. Now, can you basically tell us what your plan is for the next week or two? I mean, I know you're kind of unpacking.
Well, my next week or two. To get internet at my house would be wonderful.
Yeah, for those who are unaware, George is basically streaming on his cell phone.
On my phone. We just moved. Officially, it has been 3.5 weeks, almost 4. But we moved into a house where the internet lines down here were all dead, so they have to rebury new lines. So we're waiting for that. I've got a wonderful space for a new studio, but we've got to get the walls shored up. So we're on site. We're going to have all this new stuff, and I'm hoping in 2 weeks to have actual internet and that we can have a contract going and start getting our basement fixed so I can eventually get my studio done and get some real sound and equipment and everything set up again.
Oh, totally. But I mean, as far as your channel goes, I know
as far as my channel goes, we've got a couple things coming up. One, next week, I've got a video coming up on some of the crazy stuff I got off of the train and when I was robbing, and the time that the people on the train made me cry. So,
I can't wait to see that one. Oh my
so that
gosh.
one will be fun. I've got a review of the Rhino Safari at Busch Gardens coming up, where you actually get to feed one of the rhinos.
Oh my gosh.
I've got I actually have a video that's in process of editing that I was hoping to have done a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, actually, where I'm talking about what makes a park a good one versus a bad one. And I've got a whole bunch of clips. So hopefully eventually that will get done.
There you
I'm
go.
trying to get several collabs going. September, of course, the D23 Expo. I will be at the D23 Expo in Anaheim.
I will be in Disneyland on September 11th. I'm making sure to go into the park that day because I'm off on Sundays, so I will be going there with my girlfriend. I'll have my best friend sign us in so I can meet up with some other YouTubers that are coming out for D23.
Yep. I do have a day scheduled for Disneyland and a day for California Adventure. I'm hoping to get together with other YouTubers and do some collabs while I'm there. That would be a lot of fun. Now, the Sunday, of course, is still the last Sunday of D23, so I'll be at D23 for that. But
perfect. Well, maybe I'll see you around over there then, right?
I hope so. I'm sending out notes to a number of people that I know either will be or might be there, and trying to see if we can make some connections. I know Skipper Megan has said she's hoping to go, so that's one possibility. I know a couple other bigger names that I don't want to drop them because I don't know if it's going to work out because everybody goes, and then if it doesn't work out, I look really dumb. But I'm hoping to be able to get a few connections there. And then the biggest thing is I'm approaching 30,000 subscribers. I am less than 700 away. And I've got all sorts
of... If you have not yet subscribed to Sir Willow, please do that as soon as possible. Mods, can you drop his channel in the chat for me, please? Again,
because if I hit 30,000 subs, I've got at least 3 shirts. I have a Figment Funko Pop. I've got some pins. I've got a whole bunch of prizes. We're going to do a big, splashy giveaway.
There you go.
Once I get the internet up, I've actually I've got a giveaway site that I'm going to be using for some of the prizes. Others, I'm also going to be doing giveaways online during the live streams and several things like that. So we're going to do a big one. And I'm constantly looking for input and ideas. We've been doing this for 5 years, almost, actually, maybe 6 years now.
There you go, George. You just got one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Birdwell.
That's Sandy for you.
And just so I'm constantly looking for other ideas. The hard thing is, after doing it for so many years, you've got all these stories and you've told some of them, and you start forgetting. And so then when you can get together with other people who've worked at the parks, some of these things are coming back and, oh, that's right, I never talked about that. I didn't talk about this part. And yeah, I remember that kind of thing. So we're really looking forward to doing stuff like that and talking to people too. Plus, last year, yeah, I know, I'm giving you all sorts of spiels. We've just moved much closer to Branson, Missouri than where we were. So a lot of what's in Branson is now accessible too. So I will be hitting a lot more stuff here and showing people more of the attractions and things to do in this area as well.
Oh yeah, and I would definitely love to. I've messaged Chris from Airtime Thrills on Instagram, and he is up for a collaboration with you.
We've been doing this.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that would be an amazing collaboration because I know you guys are both big coaster heads.
Yep.
I think his credit count is a little bit higher than yours, but still.
Yeah, I should have been over 400 by now, and it has just been one thing after another this year.
I have some credits that you can't get anymore.
I got a bunch too.
Yeah, that's fun. Like for example, Shockwave from Magic Mountain. I have that as a credit. Wacky Soapbox Racers from Knott's Berry Farm.
Got that one.
Yep.
Okay, my very first looped coaster, inverting, going upside down. Mm-hmm. Can you guess which one it was?
Let's see. I'm going to guess. In fact, I know this one. It was Corkscrew at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yep. The very first coaster.
I've been on that.
Yep.
I believe that's over at Silverwood, up near Rachel, up in Idaho.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a park I would love to go to, but I kind of got to drop a few pounds before I can get on some of those coasters. Oh,
that was one that was in the plans to go to this year, and various things like. I'm still hoping. My daughter's in Japan right now. If I can work things out and figure out how to get there, I'm still hoping to go to Japan in October.
Oh my God, there's some great parks in Japan.
But my issue there was I had an easy access there, and that kind of has changed. So I don't know if I can get there, and I don't know if they're going to open up to individual tours. So I'm hoping we'll see.
Well, keep your fingers crossed, and of course, say some prayers here. But I want to thank you, George, for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. Great having you by.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I always try to have fun on this channel here. And everybody in chat, I want to thank you all for popping in, for chatting with me. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Really appreciate you. I'm going to say good night, everybody, and you all have a blessed evening. Bye.